Okay, foliage normal. I put my keys in my pocket. I've got myself another 6 electrical bullets, which I think I might put into this pocket over here. I know that sometimes they short out, so you know I've got to be careful. You know, they get really hot and will catch fire, sort of thing. So that probably doesn't do them any good either. But maybe I'll just put 3 in there, and maybe 3 in my pocket here, sort of thing. But with no other change or anything in there. It's usually the coins that do it. And I'm just going to put my feet into the wellies, because as I said, you know, depends on what with snakes, swamp situation, you never know, we might come across something and we might be to wade in to see something, I don't know, but I doubt it. I mean, it is the dry state, and I think I'm just going to have to put the camera down, fellas, just for a while, just so I can get my boot on. Can't really. There we go. Now the time is, that's 12:19, which is really 1:19 minus 10, so it's about 10 past 1. And I'm just going to make sure I have got my keys and lock the car with my keys in the pocket. Very disconcerting feeling. I got my. I'll leave the other can here. I think it's too heavy, I think, to carry. Okay. Yep. Okay. I think we're going to be off. Crack the can and get going, I think. And just put my clock in my pocket. And oh, that's nice. And just get going. The usual thing. But it's just not so sunny. I've just got the light clop on, even though I might get a little bit cold. It's better being a little bit cold than too hot, I think, anyway. I don't know what you think about that, but if I keep moving I should keep warm, sort of thing. But yeah, don't you just love that spectacular display of Herbertia almost as far as the eye can see. Yeah, it is a dotted line. I was a bit worried that I just like to park there because it's close, and when I come back up here I'm usually just so exhausted I just can't. So I'd love to park the car there, but you know, what with its slightly damaged state and everything. And wow, well, there you go. Oh, of course we're not on macro, are we? So, oh well, bad luck. You know, I don't think the birdies can go 40 k's, mate, but anyway. Last pan back. Might be the last pan back in my life, you never know. Get hit by a lightning bolt. You know, if it switches your heart off, I don't think it's going to kick itself back in, and you're not going to get struck twice by a lightning bolt. One to stop your heart, one to start it back up again. Anyway, well, since we've done the Menanthus pool, we might as well take a quick look at the Bonadas, see what a state they're in. They usually come on slowly, then very quickly, and then they're all over, and then they just seem to disappear much faster than you think they would be. You think they'd be for a perennial plant next to a fairly permanent water supply, you think they'd hang on a lot better than they do. They get really ratty, but then again they're only growing in barely a centimetre worth of soil, I would say. Skeletal soil at best, I would say. But I think there's a reason for that. How they do so well in such. Like I said, we're going to get onto this Doug Donarski thing of, you know, water. I think it's actually conditioning. I think what he means by conditioning is it's charging up the water, not with electricity, but with gas. Now, the way you can test this is to get some paraffin candle wax, break it up into little lumps like I do, and just stick it in your water. Now, because the polarity of the candle wax is different to the electrolytic nature of the water, it sort of basically forces whatever dissolved gas that's there of that type out of the water, and you should get little bubbles, especially on warm days, warm sunny days. You should get bubbles around the candle, and you should be able to get yourself a match, strike a match and touch the bubbles. If the bubbles go pop, you've got a flammable gas, and basically that's what it really is saying, is your outer veranda and basically your CPs in general grow well in this type of water, these types of soils, because the soils and the water have flammable gas in them. And I think that's the key to growing the liverworts. To grow the cyanophita, to grow the liverworts, if you go online and look at all these places where they grow the cyanophita, your sort of pond scum over there, is that electrified? I think it is, so I'll be very careful about how close I get. You'll notice they all have little bubblers going in the water, and everyone thinks that's just bubbling air through the water, or that's probably what they tell you. But from what I'm learning over the last couple of years or so, fairly recently, I think it's actually, they're probably actually bubbling through flammable gas into the water. And as I said, your first test is to, if you're growing your outer veranda and you're growing it with water hyacinth, try the candle trick before and after you've put the water hyacinths in there and let it grow for like 5 or 6 weeks. And if your outer veranda is suddenly growing really, really well because of the water hyacinth, then test the water with your paraffin candle, generate some bubbles, hopefully around the candle, get your match, strike it, and if the bubbles go pop, you got yourself a flammable gas. I think you'll work out, Doug Danusky is right, but I don't think he understands what it's doing to the water. He's saying it's conditioning the water, but I think I know what the conditioning is now. I think it's because it's, they're diffusing flammable gas, generating and diffusing flammable gas into the water, sort of thing. So, in a way, it's a way of changing the pH in favour of the plant, sort of thing. Putting it in a non-acidic form, I suppose, if you understand what I mean. Getting rid of it, in other words. But because it's so well dissolved, you don't see it unless you put something like a paraffin candle wax in there for it to have something to what's the word, form around a clued upon, or what's the word I'm looking for? There's a much better word for, there's that rock up there, of course. But yeah, so anyway, that's my hypothesis, is when he says it's conditioning the water, one, I don't think he really knows what it's doing, but I think I have an idea what it's doing from my research anyway. And there's one way you can check. If you've got really well growing water hyacinths in your water, pop in a bit of candle wax on a nice warm sunny day. It usually takes about 24 hours for it to, the bubbles to, usually towards the end of a warm sunny day you'll see bubbles around the candle, forming around the candle, and then you can get your match, strike it, touch the bubble, and it should go back, it should go pop, Anyway, we've seen this carpet of moss, and we were always thinking, dichondra ought to grow in that really well, but I think we came last year and it was almost drying out, and there was no sign of any flower stalk or anything, so I think it's a dead loss. Maybe it used to grow years ago and just died out, I don't know. Howdy. Nice day for it anyway.
Some nice shots.
Yes, I'm getting some nice shots of all the wildflowers. As I said, these days I take screenshots because, and what I really want to do is get the next camera up so I've got full HD definition, and so that my screenshots become normal standard photographs that this camera normally takes. So I don't have to do any real hard. I'm nearly 50. I think I've done all the hard yards. Most of the hard yards are behind me. I mean, I've got bloody Sarracenia growing in no peat, no coir, no sawdust. I've got the idea of why it's working. I now just have to improve the flammable gas generation sort of thing. Find out how I get the most, and regularly, you know. Is it a catalytic reaction? You know, will it go on forever, and then do I adjust it? Anyway, I better start another clip. There's some people coming up here, I think. Oh no, they've gone. Oh, maybe I'll start a clip from around the bend there or something. But yeah, don't want to lose the clip to the ether sort of thing. But maybe we'll start one from this corner as we walk down. But find out whether it's a catalytic reaction, so it just, as long as the catalyst doesn't get poisoned or anything, it will happen whenever the soil is wet. And as I said, it seems to be a hydration reaction, so the wetter you keep it. But of course you've in the past had all these problems with you know, all these disease problems of sitting pots and things. I've got round that, so you know, I have the option, if I want, of putting the pots back into water. So sort of I'm going back to the egg, back to the wheel sort of thing, doing the things that we used to do in the old days, but now doing it properly in quotes, because, you know, solving all those disease problems, you know, and controlling all that finger and toe and all that sort of stuff, you know. Something you couldn't do until you conquered calcium sort of thing. So yeah, until you conquered calcium, you couldn't put calcium in the soil, therefore you didn't have something in the soil that would stop the finger and toe and all these other calcium deficient soil diseases sort of thing. So, you know, whenever you put your pots in too much water to it, you get rot and the plants would die. Yet out in the wild you see them bloody growing in the water, and you know, no problems. Well, that's because there's calcium out in the wild. So, you know, you just had to work out what was going on, how to get around it. So anyway, I'll start a new clip from here.